Another month has come and gone in the basketball world, which means it's also time to check back in on the next crop of NBA talent coming through the ranks and how they're faring as they do it. Every month during the season, I publish a mock draft leading up to the main event in order to stay up to date on where these prospects currently stand compared to their peers, and to recognize whether any of them are either rising or falling over the course of the season. The first month of the college season has already provided us a ton of insight into these players, setting up for an incredibly eventful year. Also, as always, the order the teams will be picking in this mock draft is based on the current NBA standings. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but it also very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. Starting with the number 1 pick in the draft, the Washington Wizards select Cooper Flagg from Duke. Flagg entered the season seen as the prize of the draft at the top, and that does remain to be the case, but I will say that I think people need to temper their expectations for him a little bit. Flagg is an incredibly versatile 6'9" forward with confidence creating off the dribble, in the post, around the basket, and off the catch, but he may not be the absolute can't-miss superstar some people think he'll be either. He's averaging about 17 points so far this season, shooting 44% from the field, but just 24% from 3, needing to show he can be a more consistent threat beyond the arc. Defensively, he is an absolutely incredible playmaker who generates a ton of turnovers and deflections, makes incredible reads with his rotations, and has impressive timing to contest and block shots. So overall, he's still a top-tier prospect, but there are others coming for this top spot also in the mix. Next, with the second pick, the New Orleans Pelicans select Dylan Harper from Rutgers. Harper has exploded out of the gate this season, and as a freshman is currently the 3rd leading scorer in all of D1 college basketball, putting up about 23 points per game while making 50% of his shots and about 31% of his threes. Obviously, you would like to see him make his threes at a slightly higher clip, but overall, he has been an unstoppable force that can get to his spots with ease and make plays happen. He's a 6'6" strong-bodied guard that abuses defenders en route to the rim, absorbs contact and finishes through it, and has the fiery drive to be great at any level. There's clearly good reason to view Flagg as the top prospect this year for long-term outlook. Nobody is playing better than Harper right now though, and if he keeps it up, he will absolutely make it hard for a general manager to pass on taking him number 1. Next, with the 3rd pick, the Utah Jazz select Ace Bailey from Rutgers. Bailey entered the season viewed as the better NBA prospect on Rutgers, and there was even a faction of basketball fans that believed he could be the one to put pressure on Cooper Flagg at the top, but through about a month of play, that has just not been the case. Bailey is still playing very well overall, don't get me wrong, but his weaknesses are becoming much more visible on a consistent basis, pushing him down to 3rd this time around. He's an unreal athlete at 6'10" who finishes strong around the basket while also being a natural scorer with the ability to take and make tough shots, but that actually then leads to what can hold him back from that top tier of prospect. Bailey's tendencies to settle for low quality looks and his inability to separate off the dribble consistently are what's creating hesitancy around him, and somewhat reminiscent to the year that Jabari Smith Jr. had when he was a top 3 pick, it could hurt a little bit down the line. Next, with the 4th pick, the Toronto Raptors select Igor Demin from BYU. Demin is easily the fastest riser up draft boards early on this season, as he's come to BYU from Russia and has immediately acclimated himself to this level and style of play. At 6'9", he runs a point forward archetype, looking incredibly comfortable on the ball, initiating offense and seamlessly making plays for both himself and others. He's averaging about 13 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds per game, scoring the ball incredibly efficiently inside and out, and the fact that he's knocking down 39% of his threes so far bodes well for his ability to impress NBA scouts, because that was a question mark for him coming in. Next, with the 5th pick, the Charlotte Hornets select VJ Edgecombe from Baylor. Edgecombe is a tantalizing scoring threat in this year's class who comes in as someone who at his age is still pretty streaky, but he gets going and can heat up quickly. He's a 6'5" shooting guard with tremendous speed and explosiveness on and off the ball, and is at his best attacking the basket. Scouts love his athletic prowess and his motor, and he's still lottery talent for sure, obviously, but if he wants to remain in the top 5 by the end of the season, improvements, shooting from the perimeter, and creating his own shot off the dribble on a more consistent basis will need to be displayed. Next, with the 6th pick, the Philadelphia 76ers select Trey Johnson from Texas. Johnson, like Harper, is already one of the best scorers in the country as a freshman, putting up 21 points per game, and at 6'6" with long arms and springy bounce, he can make defenders pay from anywhere on the floor. He's knocking down 44% of his threes, so you have to play up on him around the perimeter, but if you overextend, he is going to blow by you and get to the rim, where he may put someone on a poster. His ability to score in isolation is the type of talent that thrives in the NBA, so he'll definitely be hearing his name called pretty early on draft night. Next, with the 7th pick, the Portland Trailblazers select Kasparas Giacochonis from Illinois. This draft class is loaded with big, strong, versatile combo guards, and Giacochonis is no exception. At 6'6", he's running point for Illinois, stuffing the stat sheet on a nightly basis, and consistently is passing the eye test as a well-rounded player. He's putting up 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists per game, shooting the ball incredibly efficiently inside and out. He shows off incredible understanding of how to run the pick and roll, and he's just an incredibly smart decision maker with great vision and a knack for making the right read. Next, with the 8th pick, the Chicago Bulls select Derek Queen from Maryland. Queen has been another fast riser up draft boards to start the season as someone who looks like one of the most skilled big men in the entire country. He's the kind of big man you can run an offense through, as he has very soft touch anywhere around the basket. He's a lethal threat in the high post, where if he can get a face-up and attack a defender one-on-one, he will convert. He can knock down jumpers if you sag off on him, and he's also a pretty good passer for a big man as well. Concerns about his slow-footed defense will always be there, but overall, he has the tools to be a valuable part of any offense. Next, with the 9th pick, the Indiana Pacers select Con Knippel from Duke. Knippel's reputation as a sharpshooter hasn't quite lived up to the bill yet, but most, myself included, still fully believe in his three-point shooting to bounce back long-term, and even though this slump is happening, he's been demonstrating plenty of other ways to still be effective. He's an outstanding mid-range shooter, and he can comfortably operate as a secondary ball handler and playmaker, dishing out assists in bunches when his shot isn't falling, so he stays in this range because of his ability to adapt. Next, with the 10th pick, the Detroit Pistons select Nolan Traoré from France. Traoré has had a tough go of it this season over in France after coming in being viewed as potentially the top international prospect in the class. After a strong season last year, he has struggled mightily so far, shooting the ball poorly from deep and failing to convert well around the rim, but his biggest strength has always been his knack for setting up his teammates, competently running the offense as a point guard and dishing out assists, and right now he has the highest assist percentage in the entire draft class, so that part is still thriving. Next, with the 11th pick, the Sacramento Kings select Kaman Maluach from Duke. Maluach is a massive 7'2" with long arms and an ability to cause havoc on defense, the likes of which very few others in college basketball are capable of. Overall, he has a very raw skill set, and his development as a player will need patience, but this season at Duke, he's done a tremendous job playing to his strengths as a screener, roll man, finisher at the rim, and disruptive defender, which historically has always gotten the attention of scouts at the next level. Next, with the 12th pick, the San Antonio Spurs select Boogie Fland from Arkansas. Fland is yet another combo guard in this class, impressing early as a freshman playing for John Calipari in his first season coaching the team. He's a reliable perimeter shooter, he's very quick with the ball in his hands, and he's even taken impressive strides as a passer in the offense, dishing out over 5 assists per game. He will need to bulk up a bit over time, but early on, he's pushing himself into lottery talks. Next, with the 13th pick, the Houston Rockets, who own the Suns pick, select Liam McNeely from Connecticut. McNeely is another prospect who came in under the guise of being a skillful, sharp-shooting threat, and going to the defending champions at UConn as a freshman, there were pretty lofty expectations for him. Unfortunately, he also hasn't quite been setting things ablaze with his shooting yet, and is at risk of sliding out of the lottery if he doesn't turn it around. And finally, with the last pick of the lottery, the Brooklyn Nets select Asa Newell from Georgia. Newell is a highly impressive defensive talent who, at 6'11", provides the versatility needed to survive in the NBA at that size. He can hold his own against different positions, he's a disruptor, blocking over a shot per game and grabbing over a steal per game, and offensively, he's a very smart off-ball operator who cuts well, crashes the offensive glass, and finds ways to create easy looks for himself, pretty simply. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below which prospects you're intrigued with the most. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.